Alright, Augie. On the right is the old, on the left is the new. You've done a lot of really good work. First, I'd say this is 2 sessions. So on the right is the first session, on the left is the most recent and the second lesson. So first thing we talked about is the depth of the hips. So these don't get very deep. You start pulling your right elbow behind you, behind you, behind you, behind you. I mean, the structure is pretty awesome. If we were to look at the camera angle from this angle, we would see that your right elbow or your right shoulder has retracted or pulled behind you a little bit too much. Now, if you want to draw it, it's cool. You want to hit a fade. The miss that you say that you see in competition or when you get under the gun is you start chunk toeing it, and I'm going to explain why and then show you how we fix it on the left. So this right elbow, this right shoulder is retracted, pulled behind you, and here's what follows. Let me get rid of all this junk. Okay, there we go, cool. So let's just do this. We know that right elbow eventually has to get in front of that hip if we want to be as good as we can be. So the hips haven't turned much at all. There's no depth. They start kicking out and forward. Oops, the right hip is moving, sorry. We start getting into a little bit of too much tilt to the right. Right elbow gets stuck. Low point gets too far back sometimes on the nasty ones. Sometimes we'll see a draw, sometimes we'll see a fade. In terms of like longevity of our career, I am not the biggest fan of this. We're too much tilted to the right, chest is too far back, legs have extended a little bit too much. With a driver, the attacking weight we're seeing is like 7 up, 6 up, which is at your speed just like makes hitting a fairway way too hard. So we try to level out this chest, and that way the club can exit a little bit lower, the chest can move a lot freer without some right back pain. You said like a couple times a month, a couple times throughout the season, you'd start getting a lot of pain in the right side. I mean, it makes pretty good sense. So what we did to solve a lot of this was we tried to get this right hip back so we can create some space. So we try to turn this right hip a little bit more, keep the right elbow from retracting, or I should say the right shoulder from retracting so much. So if we looked at it from this angle, we'd see the right elbow is actually in front of the back of your right side of your oblique. Now from here, the structure hasn't changed. I don't want to do anything with this left arm. The way that you use the left arm, the structure of the wrist is unbelievably good, so I'm a big fan. So all we did was we used the right hip, we turned into a little bit more to create some space for this right elbow to go. From there, we just tried to get everything on top and keep turning. This right elbow all of a sudden has some space, which is great. Cool. That should help us with a couple things. One, low point being forward enough so we don't ever have any more chunk toes. Number 2, it should help us square the face a lot more often. So from here, this chest will stay more level and continue to keep turning to the left. I'll stop us here and I'll stop us there. Way, way, way better. Let me get rid of all this. There we go. Cool. So this should alleviate any of the pain that you were having in the right side. We're no longer sucked underneath with the hips and the upper body stuck. This chest would feel like it's moving very freely. So a couple things. The dominoes that need to be in place, this right hip has to turn back a little bit more to create some space for this right elbow to go. On the left, these hips don't do anything. You just start sucking this right elbow back, 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 back. Now the second these things move forward and do what they're supposed to do, this right elbow gets totally stuck. Versus now we have some space for this right elbow. It's actually a little bit more in front of us than it used to be. From here, everything can kind of move in sync. Love it. Love it. Cool. So with driver, we got to like 1 up on the attack, 1.5 up. Pretty good. Hitting some bullets. I love your golf swing. It's really good, man. We just have to improve some tiny little things that, more than anything, will make playing golf more enjoyable, not being injured. So that's the name of the game. Reliable cuts, no more chunk toes. Good work, dude.